FC26 promised a lot in its pre-release hype, but has it actually lived up to our expectations? Do things actually work as they should? And are any of the new features actually worth using? Well, that's what we're going to find out in today's video. Let's see what we can find out in FC26, starting with the manager market. Now, the manager market is meant to be a results-based way for managers to change clubs inside career mode. Managers can switch between nations, countries, genders, and divisions, which should add a bit of longevity to saves that might get stale, something that we did see happening in FC25. But does this feature actually work? And if it does work, does it make sense? Well, let's check some of the manager transfers that have happened 5 years into my save. It's not quite as chaotic as in some of the other saves that I've seen, but the AI can still get a little bit weird. In 2 or 3 seasons, Arteta moved to Atletico Madrid and Simeone moved to Arsenal. I mean, that isn't the most ridiculous swap, but I've also seen Man City get championship managers who have absolutely done nothing. I've also seen some of the strange AI-created managers appear. For example, in this save on Reddit, Manchester City weren't just the first team to hire a female manager, but she also had a Middle Eastern surname. Now, I know it's just a game, and there's nothing wrong with that even in real life, but it was jarring to see one of the biggest clubs in the world having some no-name manager that probably wouldn't be happening in the next 5 years. The pre-release statements said that this would be entirely results-based, and I think a lot of it actually is. The caretaker system does allow random managers to take over and do well, and it is quite funny to see AI managers rehabilitating their status by taking over someone like Celtic or Rangers, which you do see happening in real life too. Simply put, if a manager can dominate a league at one club, they seem really good in the eyes of the manager market, which means they then get offered better jobs, and because managers don't have overall ratings, any manager can suddenly excel in high-profile positions. It's a little bit of a snowball effect. You do well in one league, and then you can easily pick up a dominant team in a smaller league. When you do that, you can then go to a slightly bigger league, and if you keep dominating with the best teams in small leagues, eventually you'll end up one of the biggest clubs. While it isn't probably realistic, it is fun, and I think that's all that matters in career mode. Overall, the manager market is an improvement on what we had, and does basically work as intended. So now let's look at random events. I was super excited to see these added this year. I'd been adding these kind of things myself using generators on my website, and it was cool to see them officially in the game, but do they actually work? Well, surprisingly, it actually took me a while to see my first random event. The one that I've put on screen right now was the first one that I saw, and it took a couple of months, actually in my 4th or 5th save, before I got a couple in a row. Either I got really unlucky, or they're genuinely really rare. That said, I thought they were pretty good. There's quite a bit of repetition. The extreme events, like a player retiring because of an injury, is really rare, but the ones that I've seen are interesting, usually involving training injuries. I've had several reserves been sidelined for a match or two, a couple of first choice players and a few subs as well, which is realistic and does add some challenge. I would say that random events do actually work in FC26 and do improve the game mode. While they could be improved by having more variety of the events or simply just more events happening in the saves, what we do have does improve career mode, and I'd actually really miss this feature if I went back to an older FIFA. So let's talk about Manager Live, something that EA spent about 3/4 of their pre-release career mode deep dive talking about. So this was a huge deal for EA, but does it actually live up to the hype, or is it just kind of a pointless thing? Well, I've got to say this one is probably quite opinion based. I spoke about this a few videos ago where I was saying that this was just way too similar and that all of the challenges are pretty basic and there really isn't that much to do inside Manager Live. That is still the case. I don't think EA's actually updated any challenges yet, but to be fair, the game has only been out for about 2 weeks. As someone that supports a club that doesn't ever have classic kits inside one of these games, it is a little bit of a shame that EA hasn't gone out and added more of these in, because people love them in Ultimate Team, they love them in Kickoff, and they definitely love them in career mode. Instead, you do a challenge where you can win the league with Aston Villa, but you'll just unlock a Juventus kit. In another challenge, you can complete a Bundesliga youth-only save, and congratulations, you've won an alternate kit for the United States national team. I mean, there's so much history in Germany and England and France and Spain, it's just a shame that the only thing you'll ever really win is a PSG, Juventus, or United States kit. In my opinion, the French league is one of the most boring in the entire game, especially when you're playing as PSG, so I really don't care that I've unlocked this kit 4 or 5 times. Manager Live does kind of work, but I think it would be better if you put more effort into it, or just a little bit of money to unlock better rewards. It would be amazing if you could unlock custom kits for Creator Club, which I think might be the plan eventually going from the pre-release documents, but it's just not there yet, and I'd say that this feature is borderline not worth using. Okay, so after Manager Live, I think the next most hyped thing was probably authentic gameplay. It was probably the biggest new feature that the game has added for a while, and it's supposed to basically be an entire new gameplay setting that's ideal for people that play career mode. None of the one-touch tiki-taka spam that you can do in Ultimate Team. It should be slower paced, more statistics based, more attributes based, and it should look more like the game of football that we all love, rather than just a game of basketball on grass. But personally, I don't think it really does that, mainly because it makes the game way too easy. And I've seen a lot of people on Reddit, on Twitter, on Instagram, saying that they can win 7 or 8-0 on the highest difficulty. I think that is the same for me. I can beat the AI on the highest difficulty so easily, and that has never been the case, and I've got to blame authentic gameplay for that. Before the game came out, EA said that authentic gameplay would use a bunch of animations which would make the game look slower. It would also make the AI play a bit slower, and make the ball move a little bit slower, so everything would be slower, but unfortunately that just makes the game a lot easier. The ball being slower means you can intercept more passes, you can press faster, and because you think faster than the AI, you can also win the ball back basically wherever you want. The result of this is usually quite high scoring matches, usually in the favour of the person playing. But of course, on ultimate difficulty and anything above legendary, the AI does still cheat quite hard. You'll see shots from 60 rated left backs flying in from 40 yards, while in the same match, you'll see an 88 rated striker tap the ball at your goalkeeper. The difficulty this year is just so out of whack that it does kind of ruin almost the entire game mode. Thankfully, we can still switch back to the other gameplay, which I think is better, or I already made a full video about this, and you can click the link at the top right of the video if you want to watch it, but I think the only way to play on authentic and have fun is to use manual passing. I think manual shooting probably would help too. I haven't gone that far, but I can tell you the difficulty of doing manual passing makes it kind of fair, because both teams all of a sudden are giving the ball away a lot, and that means you just don't score as many goals. If you don't want to go manual, I would say just stick to regular gameplay like I said, and don't actually bother with authentic gameplay, because you'll probably find it too easy this year. It is a shame, because it does look a lot better and a lot more like football, but I guess it's just one of those things. So overall, those are 4 of the biggest features that I think FC26 has added, and sadly I'd say 2 of them aren't worth using, and the 2 that do work have their flaws. I'll be honest, I am really enjoying playing career mode this year. I think the gameplay is good. I think off the pitch the menus are kind of bad still, but what you can do is quite fun, and I do think this is a good game. But I gotta say, the new features aren't the best. But thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. Like the video and subscribe if you want to see more like this, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching, cheers, and goodbye.